Hi everyone. As I was just introduced, my name is João. I'm a student at Paspoa. I want to first thank you all who are still here. It's pretty late. We're all tired. So I'm going to try to keep my talk a little bit quicker. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to use your favorite activity for impact in our community. Would you guys be surprised if I told you that your favorite activity, your hobby, could be used to tackle the biggest issues our world currently faces? Really, I'm not kidding. Think about that activity. Think about that activity. It could be your favorite sport, your 30 minutes of reading before bed. It could be gardening, building, really anything that makes you feel alive. I'll give you guys a few seconds. Please think of that activity. When you have it, please raise your hands. That's great to see. Like you, I also have a favorite activity. I also have a passion. Through my love for the game of basketball, through the love of my brother, Francisco, and of our friend, Mateus, we committed ourselves to bringing the joy and excitement that we have when playing the sport to others in the community who do not have these opportunities. That is how our project, Basquete para Todos, began. Well, realistically, our project didn't become what it is today overnight. There was an entire process that we had to follow to turn it into what it is today. We had many ideas to start it out, but our first decision that we made was, how do we want to bring impact to the community through basketball? While thinking of this question, we thought of two possible paths that we could follow. First, by bringing access to more sports materials in our community, or by focusing on bringing opportunities to learn the sport. While thinking about this decision, we concluded that it wasn't necessarily the basketball shoe or the training vest that changed us, but it was learning how to play the sport and the experiences that came with it. And that is why we decided to focus our efforts into the development of new players in our community. But, unexpectedly, we faced another challenge. Even though we have played basketball for quite a while, we didn't have any experience in teaching it. We were never coaches, we always played. And that is when a simple but crucial step came into play. We sought out the help of our coaches, such as Mr. Fernando Brits, who's talked here today. Through their help, we discussed different ways to approach the game of basketball through different drills, activities, and most importantly, we learned ways to help our students grow with every training session. And throughout this process, we learned how hard it is to actually teach. But also, we prepared ourselves to successfully conduct our first workshop in a school. But with that came another problem. We needed to find a school who was interested in a sports initiative, especially one led by students from another school. And fortunately, our coaches were able to help us with that as well. They connected us with several coaches across Porto Alegre, including the one which helped us conduct our first workshop, a coach at a school at Sarandi. There, we visited the school 2 times, just before the floods. And during the second visit, we were able to conduct our first workshop with their students. We were happy to see our 8 first students happily playing basketball and practicing their drills. And we were excited to see what was to come. We were motivated to see how our project would grow. However, as we all know, disaster struck. The floods in our state destroyed everything, really everything, and put our project for a stop, stopped our project from acting for a long time. Honestly, we thought this could have been the end of our project. Reaching out to other schools during this time period was understandably not a viable option, as our main focus wasn't on a sports initiative, but it was helping their students adapt and also reconstructing after all the destruction of this disaster. We thought this was the end of Basquete para Todos. However, a few months after this crisis, in August of last year, a new opportunity presented itself. Right beside our own school, there was another one, Imperatriz Leopoldina, where we had previously run a workshop there before the floods with their students. We reconnected with them, talked to them again, sent them messages, and slowly but surely we were able to rebuild our initiative with their students and conduct workshops with the school. So this was this restarting process of Basquete para Todos. Currently, I'm happy to say that Basquete para Todos has been part of different events offering sports activities to members of the community who do not have access to sports. We are also conducting weekly classes with the students from Imperatriz Leopoldina every Friday afternoon at our own school. We're also in contact with many companies like Under Armour to provide sports materials to these students in these schools. Basquete para Todos was a way that initially started to teach others how to play basketball, but we saw it become more. We saw that it had an even deeper impact than what we initially expected. I still remember this conversation I had with a student of ours. His name is Artur. He's a student from Imperatriz Leopoldina. It was a rainy day. It was really pretty heavily, and our classes are in an outside court, partially covered, not fully, so we would need to cancel class that day. I remember running to the school because the rain was getting pretty heavy, and I talked to the kids, telling them that we would need to cancel class. And I just remember Artur looking at me, looking down because he's taller than me, even though he's 14. And he looked down, clearly disappointed, and he told me, "Basor, I only came to school today because of basketball class." At the time, I felt terrible for having to cancel the class, that I couldn't find a solution to give these kids the class that they were so excited for. But later, what he said stuck with me. He didn't only say he was excited for class, but he had come to school because of it. What started as a way to teach these kids how to play basketball became something more. In a way, we were, without realizing it, helping with school attendance. We were creating a reason, an incentive for these kids to go to school, engage in the classroom, and be a part of their school environment. And even though I only heard it from Artur directly, the student who I talked to that rainy day, I'm certain that we can see the same feeling with his teammates. Or at the very least, that's what we're working for. And our efforts at Basquete para Todos don't stop at only training sessions every week. But we look for many ways and every way possible to spread the universal access to sports to other members of our community. Last year, on Children's Day, we worked with another project, Unidos pela Esperança, on a full afternoon of activities for kids of family of refugees here in Porto Alegre. We set up soccer courts with tape and small goals. We set up basketball hoops and coordinated fun activities for the kids to enjoy throughout the afternoon. Seeing the kids play together, laugh, and just have fun with these activities filled us with joy. We were filled with joy that we were able to provide such a special moment in such a special day for these kids to truly enjoy. Events like this have shown us who are part of Basquete para Todos how our impact can go much further than what we initially expected. When I think of reimagining the future, I think of a world where we can use our own experiences, our own interests, our own knowledge to the benefit of others. I think of a world where we can use what we like to help others grow. So please, think about that question I asked a few minutes ago and rethink about that activity that you thought, that hobby, that passion, that activity that has changed you over the years. Through that activity, how can you bring these same changes to others part of your community? Thank you.